Welcome to Dan About Thailand. I have a special guest on today's show to help discuss and clarify some of the confusion that's still out there with regards to the mandatory health insurance among retirees in Thailand. So today it's not so much my Dan About Thailand hat I'll be wearing, but my hat as Managing Director of Thaivisa, as I still see on the forum from many of the posters that there's confusion with regards to what the situation is, and I hope we can clarify and confirm this all today. Today I'm joined by Jamie Connell, the Client Relationship Director at Pacific Cross Health Insurance, who underwrite and manage Thaivisa Protect on our website, which offers tailored solutions for health insurance for retirees and other expats living in Thailand. So Jamie, thanks for coming today, of course. I want to talk about health insurance in general for expats in Thailand,
Sure.
But I know it's being debated a lot at the moment. There's a lot of retirees that still aren't sure about this mandatory health insurance, so perhaps you can clear that up.
Well, clearing up would be a difficult challenge right at this juncture, because there's still a lot of conjecture out there about who this pertains to. So the backdrop is basically back in late April or May of this year, Dan, the government, along with the Thai General Insurance Association, basically made it a mandatory requirement to have health insurance in Thailand for retirees. However, they didn't do an exceptional job of explaining exactly who this insurance was aimed at. And it's only for people on a very particular visa. It's a non-OA visa or a non-OX visa, typically known as long-stay visas. So when this was first announced in May, we were getting an influx of inquiries for people on every type of visa you could imagine: retirement, non-OA yearly extensions, marriage visas, even people with work permits. So first point is, this only applies to long-stay visa holders, non-OX or non-OA visas.
Okay, and not extension of stay on your current retirement?
Well, that's another good point, because again, this has been re-announced a couple of weeks ago, due to be effective from the 31st of October or next week. Our interpretation is that if you're a new applicant for a non-OA visa or a non-OX visa, you have to have mandatory insurance, of which Thaivisa Protect, Pacific Cross, is one of 13 approved companies. There's conflicting information. We understand that if you have an extension of stay on the non-OA, you do require the mandatory insurance. Though there's people online or coming out of other provinces saying they were told by their immigration that it only applies for new applicants of non-OA. So at this moment, we're not visa experts, we're not the TGIA, but our understanding is it does apply to extensions of stay also. But I believe as the wheel turns after 31st of October, more and more will become apparent about who this actually specifically applies to and when.
So the confusion doesn't just sit with the expats, but with the insurers too. How have other insurance companies interpreted this and responded to it?
So, as I said, there's for the non-OA visas, there's 13 companies that have been approved. Some of the companies are quite local Thai companies, which we feel might be quite hard to field very particular questions from retirees here, whichever nationality you are. Some of the we've looked around on the market to see where we stand, and it's been a challenge with some of the companies to even get any kind of response, let alone an informed response. So I can't really speak on how other insurance companies are approaching it, but we've seen some instances where they may be not approaching it as best they can.
And the mandatory terms for health insurance for people that are applying for their retirement visa for the first time, is it good enough cover? What's your views of it?
Well, okay, to give you my information of how all this played out, back in May when they first introduced, now I believe or I understand this whole premise to get the insurance derived from the fact that there was a lot of unpaid bills, people not paying their hospital bills. That people believe online, and I can't say I disagree to some extent, that it was for people coming in on tourist visas for holidays without insurance, running up a bill somewhere for a motorbike accident and getting out of it. So I agree somewhat with people online that are saying, well, this should be aimed at the tourists, not the residents here. I'd agree with that somewhat, though I do believe it's important to have insurance. Now the issue was that back in May, when they first introduced this, the requirement was to have 400,000 bahts worth of inpatient cover and 40,000 bahts worth of outpatient cover. And it was only a very particular plan that was approved that met those requirements that could tick the box to get you the visa. But it didn't make much sense, certainly to us, and obviously to the people out there, that somebody that may have already had an existing plan that covered them up to $1 million even, couldn't tick the box to get the visa, but the 400,000 baht one could. So that firstly was quite nonsensical. So at that stage we worked with the TGIA to say, look, you know, why wouldn't a plan that exceeds the requirement be suffice to obtain a visa? And that's at the juncture we're at now. If you're asking me, do I believe that 400,000 bahts worth of cover is sufficient in the event of something serious? Absolutely not. So I don't really have much interest to sell anybody a policy that covers them up to 400,000 baht. That said, there will be people here, if you've got lots of money in the bank, you're going to be fine, right? And everybody knows that outpatient cover or trips to the GP are relatively inexpensive here. But the misconception is that, you know, Thailand's cheap for care. Now, if you have anything serious, that means you're admitted into a private hospital over, you know, a length of stay, the cost can escalate quite quickly. And another misinterpretation that we see time and time again, often on the Thaivisa forums, is that if I'm really sick, I'll just go back to my country. You know, as an Englishman, very proud we have the NHS. You know, one wishes the NHS was a worldwide institution, but it's not. It's the world we live in. So people have the misinterpretation that if they're sick, they'll just go back home. Bear in mind, once you've been out of the UK for a certain amount of time, you're ineligible for NHS cover. I believe 6 months, I'm not sure. Secondly, you've got to be fit to fly. So if you've had a road accident, you've got an aneurysm on your brain, nobody's going to sign you off to get on a plane to go home.
Honestly, that's a big one, isn't it? And it's a complete oversight. If you are that sick and you need to go back, chances are you can't travel, or the airline won't let you on the flight anyway.
Yeah, you know, with insurance, Dan, you know, people who have it say it's a complete waste of money because more often than not they don't need to use it. So for them it's dead money. But transversely, the people that don't have insurance, of which there's been bloggers out there, everybody's seen, that develop a condition, suddenly realise why having adequate cover would have been a good idea. And that's the, you know, I've worked as a broker before, I've worked for a number of different insurance companies. The benefit of the Thaivisa Protect products is there's a huge range of products. So, you know, people are misinformed if they think that they're a certain age and it's unaffordable. We've got products that range from a few 100,000 bahts cover per condition per year, right through to 50 million bahts worth of cover per condition per year. And there's also ways to lower the premium by applying excesses or deductibles. Some people just want the outpatient cover removed, they just want to be covered for inpatient. What I'd advise people do is to do their own research, survey the market accordingly. If you've got questions, get in contact. We're there to assist you. As I said, we've got numerous product offerings.
Yeah, ThaivisaProtect.com. Okay, let's move away from retirees because we've kind of gone to where I wanted to go as well. When expats are choosing their insurance, what kind of things should they be aware of?
Great question. So, you know, first of all, people look at insurance or insurance companies in the same bracket. Okay, the first thing I look at is how are you underwritten. Okay, this is crucial. So 90% of insurers out there use a form of underwriting called moratorium underwriting. So it's a very easy, you know, non-stressful application process. You get issued your card. We've all done it. You walk around with the card in your pocket. I'm covered. But the insurance company has never asked you anything about you. Okay, and what a moratorium policy is saying is that anything that you've had in the last, usually 2, sometimes up to 5 years, will not be covered until you've gone with coverage 2 or 5 years, symptom or treatment free, you know. So that doesn't work for a lot of people that may have a condition such as hypertension, high cholesterol, hyperlipidemia, or cardiac issues. You will never beat a moratorium because it's ongoing. So this is why you have the disdain online where people say, well, the insurance company tried to wriggle out of paying it. No, they didn't understand the terms of the insurance and how it was underwritten. and the insurance company only looked at you when you were making a claim and reverse engineered whether it was subject to cover. So where Thaivisa Protect products differ is that we fully underwrite. So we recognise we've got a much more difficult application. It's about 5 pages long. We will ask you anything and everything to do with your medical history. And it's really important that you declare everything factually, truthfully. Once we've underwritten you, we come back with an offer letter that says exactly what you're covered for, what if anything has a wait period. If you've got something you've had before, we might say, look, we want to have a wait period before that's covered, or we might outright exclude something. But the point is, before you've made a decision to obtain or purchase the insurance, you knew where you stand, and there's no hidden surprises down the line. So I can't speak for everyone, but I can say that Thaivisa Protect, Pacific Cross, will pay 100% of valid claims 100% of the time, as long as you haven't put a mistruth or forgotten something on your application. And believe me, it happens. People try and hide. They've had this before, and when you see medical records, it tells a different story. So it's always important for people to factually declare on their application. Once you're covered with us, we'll take new applications up to 75 years of age. Other companies will kick you off at a certain age, and we'll renew you through your lifetime. Furthermore, the benefits of the policy are reset every year. So unlike some companies I've seen, if you suffered a condition in year 1, the insurance company would pay it, but when you came to renew the policy, they'd exclude that condition, which kind of defeats the purpose of insurance. So in summary, to answer the question, what should you look out for? How the policy is underwritten is the first thing. What age are you covered up until? How are the renewals calculated? Now, these are for retirees here. So most companies will typically they will look at a global or a nationwide pool of customers, and each year the premiums will go up, typically 5 to up to 15% every year. Okay, we look at a client individually. So if you've gone treatment free or claims free for a year, we've got no claims discounts. If you've had moderate claims, let's say your premium's 50,000 baht and you've claimed 30,000, 20,000, whatever, we will hold rates the next year. If you've had a high claim, which can happen, then we reserve the right to load the premium at the renewal to a maximum of 25%. So you're not exposed that we can just jack the rate up to kick you off. The maximum is 25%. And if in the following year you don't have any recurrent treatment for that condition, we can possibly remove that loading at the next renewal. So personally, I'd rather have an increase on my premium when I've had a high claim than just routine increases. My own personal customers, some of which may be watching, I had 27 renewal notices to send out in August. 26 were either held rates or had no claims discounts. One person had an increase. So what age is an important thing. Does the insurance run through? The underwriting terms, and how's this premium going to look in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years?
Okay, yeah, very interesting. I've got a couple more questions before we wrap up. The first one, I was thinking about those that come over and they've got a company group insurance.
Yeah.
And there must be some things to consider there in terms of, is the premium good enough, and what happens if that company group insurance finishes and you're left with preconditions that then infects when you go to get your own insurance.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a great question. So under group schemes, and again this might be a bit of a diatribe about this, but under group schemes, a lot of company schemes are not portable, and we've seen this before. So you might have been a guy who's working in Thailand for the past 15 years, you're really happy with your insurance, but when you come to retire or move companies, you can't always take that insurance with you, which leaves you in a bad predicament, okay, if you've developed any conditions that no insurer will be willing to take on ongoing. So there's a couple of options. One is that also there's a lot of company policies out there that have very low coverage. Okay, look, before I was in insurance, if I had a card in my pocket, I thought I'm covered, but I never really read anything about up to what. So there's two things I'd ask people to consider. One is to look at getting a supplementary insurance or bolt-on insurance. So if you've got a plan, low level cover with your company, there's a lot of them out there, we can use that policy as a deductible against our policy. So for example, on our historic product suites, if somebody takes a 300,000 baht deductible, $10,000, we discount the premium 50%. We take out the outpatient cover because they just want to be covered inpatient, that's another 20%. So somebody who's got a low-level company plan could purchase one of our policies, we use that plan as the deductible, and suddenly you're only paying 20-30% of our base premium, but you go to bed at night knowing you're covered up to 3 or 5 or 10 or 20 million baht, not 300,000. So that's one option I look at. The second thing is that people should look at getting a policy sat in the background. So be underwritten now, while you're still healthy, while you're still with the company. So that if you ask your HR and the HR says you can't take this policy with you, you're not going to walk into trouble later on where you can't get coverage because now you've been working your backside off. Now you've got hypertension and everything else. So company stuff is that. We'd invite anybody who's got any insurance. This isn't pertaining to non-OA or non-OX holders. If you've got, here's another really interesting point. With us, we're a licensed provider. So if there is a disputed claim, you have the protection of the ombudsman here. Okay, that you can't say that about companies that are offshore. Where's the jurisdiction for them? So as I've said, as long as somebody's been upfront on their application and there's no conflicting medical records, we'll pay every single claim that comes in. We process tens of thousands of claims each year. So for the people that believe that insurance companies pick and choose which claims to pay, if you don't pay a valid claim, you could lose the whole business. So you have the protection of that.
It's good. I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this now online that are from different nationalities, and okay, you can get the gist of it, but when it comes to some of the finer details, it's probably better to speak in their native tongue. What nationalities can you service?
Yeah, so basically at the moment we've got the ability to service people, native English speakers, obviously native Thai speakers. We also have a French speaking national who can deal with French people, a German speaking national who can deal with Germans, an Italian for Italians, and a Russian for Russian. So we're probably the best placed provider to deal with multiple languages across the board.
Okay, that's great. So before we wrap up, is there any other things you want to cover?
Yeah, I just back to the OA stuff. So if somebody's applying from overseas and they to obtain the visa, if for whatever reason they weren't able to obtain the visa, they can cancel the policy and we'll reimburse the premium. So that's an important factor to take on board. Also, if you've got an existing plan with Thaivisa Protect, and when you took the policy that you elected to remove the outpatient cover, but now you've got this visa that needs the outpatient cover, we can include back in the outpatient cover for just a minimum requirement, 40,000 baht to meet, to tick that box, should I say, for an additional 10,000 in premium. Now again, a lot of other companies out there, and we will invite people to do their own research. A lot of companies, when you want to add in outpatient cover, it often doubles the annual premium that you're paying. So all I'd do is, look, contact us at contact@thaivisaprotect.com. We'll assign a representative to help you. The worst case scenario is that, where you are, that you're good there, it can meet the needs of your requirements. However, we might be able to increase your coverage, we might be able to lower your premium, but at the very least we'll be able to explain the policies in full. We're not here to try and sell the most expensive policy. You tell us what your requirements are and then we lead you accordingly. But the key point is the transparency on the policy before you take the coverage, so you don't have any surprises further down the line.
Jamie, thanks very much. Really enjoyed that. So much learnings. And I guess we just need to keep an eye out to make sure we've got a finger on the pulse with any changes that are out there. If you do want to find out any more about health insurance and packages right for you, check out thaivisaprotect.com and see how that can help you. Until next time, on Done About Thailand.